The red dots slid across the condo walls like tiny lasers. FBI. Search warrant. The door blew open with a boom that shook the floor, and men in black rushed in, shields up, rifles pointed. Shaun Attwood stood frozen in the kitchen, a coffee mug halfway to his lips. He saw the guns, the helmets, the bright letters on their vests. He didn't run. He couldn't. A second later, he was face down on the tile, hands pulled behind him, cold cuffs biting his wrists. Someone read words that changed everything. You're under arrest for running a drug ring. Ecstasy trafficking. Phones buzzed on a table. Laptops were snapped shut and bagged. A black duffel spilled cash like a broken bank. A safe was pried open. Plastic bags, pill charts, a ledger with neat rows of numbers. Everything that felt safe yesterday was a trap today. A neighbor peeked from a hallway. Sirens cried somewhere in the city. In that moment, the wall between Shaun's two lives, stockbroker by day, party supplier by night, fell to dust. A tall agent flipped through a notebook and held up a photo. "Recognize him?" he asked. Shaun did. It was one of his closest friends, a smiling face from a Scottsdale pool party, a guy who said, "We're brothers," and always hugged too long. Now the photo had a case number printed on it. "Where is he?" the agent said. Shaun closed his eyes. Because if this was the end, the beginning had to be told. How did a kid who loved numbers and made money on the stock market become a man on the kitchen floor while the FBI carried his life out in boxes? Earlier, Shaun came to America wide-eyed and hungry to win. The desert sun felt like a promise. He studied the market the way some people study the stars. At 20-something, he was already making trades that clicked like perfect puzzle pieces. Screens glowed blue. Charts climbed. He wore sharp suits, shook hands, and learned to talk fast on loud phones. Money felt like magic then. You press the right keys, and numbers became a car, an apartment, a life. He rented a place in Scottsdale with a pool, so clear you could count the tiles. His friend from the office came by on Fridays. They grilled food, played music, and laughed about how tomorrow we'll do it all again. They were young. They were loud. They believed the good times would last forever. The first party that changed things did not look special. A friend knew a DJ. The DJ knew a promoter. The promoter brought a cooler that didn't hold drinks. Inside were tablets, round and bright, stamped with tiny logos. People called them E or X. They made lights look softer and music feel bigger. The night stretched. Faces glowed. Someone said, "This is the best party ever." Shaun watched. He didn't start the night planning to sell anything. He just noticed what everyone else noticed. One small pill could flip a switch in a room. Friends asked for find more. "I don't know," he said that first time. Next weekend they asked again. The DJ smiled. "If you can move a few," he said, "I can front you the cost. Easy money." Easy. That word is a liar. At first, Shaun said no. He had a good job. He wore a tie and read reports and knew the rules. But the nights got longer. The weekends rolled into each other. He started to think, if I do this just once, it'll pay for the new car. Then I'll stop. A simple plan is the first step on a long, dark road. He took a small batch. He sold to people he knew. Office friends, gym friends. The sweet couple who danced barefoot by the pool. The money was quick. The risk felt small. No one looked dangerous. No one looked like a cop. He told himself, I'm not hurting anyone. They'd find it somewhere else anyway. Then somewhere else became him. Word spreads fast in a city that loves a night. Numbers on a phone became numbers in a notebook. He bought a second phone, the quiet one, only for trusted calls. He used cash and no names. He moved the product like a stock. Buy low, sell fair, keep everyone smiling. He built a small team. One friend handled club nights. Another watched the door and said who could come in and who could not. Someone he barely knew kept a ledger, neat and careful. We're not gangsters, Shaun told them. No drama. No fights. Everyone is safe. We're smart. But being smart in the wrong business only builds a bigger fall. The market fed his pride by day. He could predict a trend, ride a wave, brag that he called it first. The nights fed his ego by a different name. Rooms lit up when he arrived. DJs shouted him out. People hugged him like a hero. You saved my weekend, they said, laughing. He started believing he was in control. He stopped seeing the new faces that slipped in when old friends brought them. He stopped seeing the quiet, hungry look on a stranger who stayed close to the notebook. He didn't notice a guy in a plain polo who never danced, never drank, never stopped watching hands. He traveled to meet bigger suppliers. The orders grew. What began as a handful of pills became baggies, then a box, then something you couldn't hide under a bed anymore. He told himself it was still safe because no one had been hurt. He told himself he could quit next month, after the next score, after one more big buy to set him up to walk away. But the bigger the circle, the more holes in the edge. A friend was stopped for speeding with a glove box that rattled. Another friend got too loud at a club and told a stranger, "We know a guy." A rival tried to push in. A supplier demanded cash sooner. Shaun made decisions with bad timing and good luck. And good luck is a debt with ugly interest. He started seeing shadows when he drove, convinced a gray sedan was always 2 turns behind him. He changed routes to meetings. He left his phone in the kitchen and walked outside to talk. He thought the paranoia meant he was careful. It meant he was already being hunted. The first crack was small. A text went to the wrong number. A new contact used a word no one in the circle used. The DJ frowned. "Who is this guy?" he asked. "Relax," someone said. "He's good people." In stories like this, good people is sometimes a mask. Then came the night the music felt too loud and the smiles looked too sharp. Shaun's kitchen table turned into a counting room. Bills were stacked. A map was spread with pen marks that meant drop-offs and pickups and safe corners. A friend, let's call him Tyler, stood at the sink and stared at nothing. "You good?" Shaun asked. Tyler nodded too fast. 2 days later, Tyler didn't show. His phone went straight to voicemail. "He's fine," someone said. "He'll pop up." He did pop up, in a photo, on an officer's clipboard, smiling like the past wasn't about to crush him. That was the face the agent showed Shaun on arrest morning. Recognize him? Somewhere in those weeks, a grand jury heard whispers turn into words and words turn into charges. Paper moved through quiet rooms. Names were typed. Dates were stamped. Warrants got signed. To the people having fun by the pool, nothing looked different. To the people watching from unmarked cars, the case looked ready. On the last night of his free life, Shaun stood on his balcony and watched the city lights. He told himself again, "I can quit after this one, after I clean up the books, after I say sorry to my mom for not calling enough." He fell asleep on the couch with the TV whispering about the stock market, like the daytime world could save him from the night. And then the door blew at dawn. On the floor, cuffed, he heard the agents calling out what they found, like a shopping list of mistakes. Cash. List. Pills. Phone. A tech pulled a thumb drive from behind a book and held it up with gloved fingers. Got another one. The tall agent kept asking about the smiling face. "Where is he?" Shaun swallowed hard. The tile smelled like cleaner and old coffee. The clock on the microwave clicked 1 more minute, toward a future he didn't choose. "Stand him up," the lead said. 2 agents lifted him. His legs shook. He saw his own reflection in the oven door, pale, sweaty, eyes too wide. Not a kingpin, not a movie villain. Just a man who had told himself a story so many times he thought it was true, that he could balance 2 lives forever. They walked him past the pool, where people used to cheer, when he showed up with a grin and a backpack. A neighbor whispered, "I knew something was off." Another one said, "He was always nice." The agents didn't pause. They put Shaun in the back of a black SUV with plastic seats and no handles on inside. The door shut with a heavy clack. The city moved outside the small window, like a TV he couldn't turn off. He thought about his parents. He thought about the first party. He thought about the DJ with the cooler and the easy smile. He thought about the ledger and how neat the numbers looked right up to the end. At the field office, the air was cold and the lights were bright. They sat him in a chair. A camera watched. A recorder clicked. "You can help yourself," the agent said. "Start at the beginning." Shaun stared at his cuffed hands. "Help myself," he thought. "How?" A second agent came in and slid a piece of paper across the table. It had names on it. Some he knew well, some he knew a little. One name made his stomach drop so fast he had to close his eyes. It was Supplier, who didn't like surprises and didn't forgive debts. If that man thought Shaun had talked, there would be a storm later, even behind bars. "You're in a lot of trouble," the tall agent said. "Not cruel, not kind. We know about the buys. We know about the drops. We know where the money went. We know who you met Tuesday nights. We can prove plenty without you, but you can still make choices." Choices. That word felt small and huge at the same time. One choice was to say nothing and watch the walls close in. Another choice was to talk and make other walls move, walls around people who used to hug him by the pool. Either way, the world he built was gone. They left him alone for a minute. He stared at the paper with the names and tried to see the road back to the boy who liked numbers and believed work could fix anything. He couldn't see it. The door opened. The tall agent stepped in again. He set down a photo Shaun hadn't seen yet. It was a condo again, but from weeks ago. The angle was from a car parked across the street. In the photo, Shaun was carrying a box to his trunk. It was a simple picture. It said a lot. It said, "We were already here." The agent tapped the photo once with his finger. "This is real," he said. "So here's my last question for today." He slid the smiling picture back across. The friend from the pool, the man who said, "We're brothers." The photo had a small stamp in the corner now. Cooperating witness. The agent's voice was calm. "Do you still think he's on your side?" Shaun's mouth went dry. The room seemed to tilt. He felt the ground give way under the story he told himself about loyalty, about control, about how smart he was. The pillars cracked. The mask slipped. Somewhere deep inside, he knew the answer. He lifted his eyes. And before he could speak a single word, the door behind the agent opened and a new voice said, "He doesn't need to answer that," in a tone that froze the room like ice.